Hi, Mark. How you doing today?
Hello, Miles. I'm well. How are things in your world?
It's going great. It's good to see you again.
Great. Even though we're
I
in the same coffee shop. By the way, can we let our listeners and viewers know that we are in Lulu's Coffee and Bakehouse? So here in Indianapolis, if they hear background noise, that's why, because we like to bring the show to the people where the people are.
Thank you to Lulu's for always making hot coffee and my favorite scones and baked goods. It's a wonderful place to hang out, even do a podcast, listen to us do our thing.
That's
So
exactly right.
today's show is going to be something very interesting. Mark, have you ever had a conflict where there was a necessary need for a resolution and weren't quite sure how to get there, how to get from here to there? Maybe it was a fight, maybe it was
Mhm.
a work argument. What were some of the ways you handled that?
Yeah, it's hard. You have to communicate, but what happens if the other party doesn't want to communicate? Maybe you go through written messages, you send letters, you send back in the old days, you telegraph a little Morse code back and forth, but you have to keep the lines of communication open, I would think.
Oh, how true, Mark. Some of the world's biggest challenges have been how to handle diplomacy. Give me a little bit, give you a little bit,
Sure.
come together somewhere in the middle, right? So,
Right.
on today's episode of Pull My Leg, we are going to address this issue. What were some of the origins of the world's most strategic acts of diplomacy?
Mm.
And today, we are going to be talking about rock, paper, scissors, the genesis, the origins, if you will.
You know, Miles, it's interesting because I thought rock, paper, scissors was just a game that you played out at recess with your friends, but it has origins that
Oh,
matter.
contraire, a rich and deep
Mm.
history in
Okay.
rock, paper, scissors. And today, our special guest, an expert in rock, paper, scissors, is Dr. Reginald Hanzo. And let me just share his bio. So he's widely regarded as the world's leading authority in competitive hand gestures. He earned his doctorate in arbitrary conflict resolution from the Royal International Polytechnic of Liechtenstein, easy for you to say, Mark, where he graduated top of his class in both rock and paper.
Oh,
He picked up the nickname Hanzy. This is great. After an unfortunate incident where he shook hands for nearly 4 continuous hours at a diplomacy conference, unable to let go out of sheer politeness, Mark. And his landmark achievement, of course, was advising the UN on whether it is best of three or best of five when deciding matters
I've
of
always wondered that.
global
Yeah.
security.
Hmm.
This is a genius, a man of wealth and knowledge, and I can't wait to have him on to
Right.
share how this all began. So, Dr. Hanzo,
Hmm.
Reginald,
Yes,
Mr. October,
Mr. October.
we've heard and read a lot about the Han Dynasty,
Right.
nearly fell because of rock, paper, scissors. Tell us how close China actually came to being ruled by paper.
Very close. So actually, the emperor's final words were allegedly best two out of three,
Ooh,
and then he lost to scissors. So obviously, history can be very cruel. It would probably be
scissors.
appropriate. Scissors always gets it. The Han emperor was actually at the pinnacle of Han society and culture, and so he would preside, or he presided over the Han government, but he shared power with both nobility and the appointed ministers, who came largely from the scholarly gentry class, which I assume that both of you come from. So the emperor so loved the act, again, what you call the game, and that he chose to resolve all court matters
Mm.
with a best of series. The Han Empire was actually divided into areas directly controlled by the central government called commanderies. Now, these kingdoms gradually lost all vestiges of their independence, particularly following the rebellion of the seven states, again, with the odd numbers in reference to the act. So, going back to your question about the history, the period actually saw
Dr.
a
Hanzo,
number.
excuse
Yes,
me.
sir.
I think we've
Yes.
lost Mr. Manning. Mr. Manning,
I'm sorry. Hanzy, Miles,
Yes.
is there anything better slash worse than a family road trip? Overtired kids, teriyaki jerky sticks, and a dog with digestive regrets. But sometimes jerky just doesn't cut it. You want real food, the kind of food that road trips are made of. Welcome to Spud Stop, the nation's first and only high-end potato salad drive-through fast food chain. Remember that one time you craved potato salad, overdid it, and swore you'd never eat it again? Let's relive that moment together. For a limited time, enjoy your favorite toppings at no extra charge. Chives, aged cottage cheese, extra dollops of full-fat mayo, we've got it all. Just our little way of saying we care. And don't worry about freshness. Our potato salad sits out for 21 days at room temperature, just the way you like it, picnic style. And now we deliver to your doorstep. Ignite your taste buds at Spud Stop High-End Potato Salad for the Whole Family.gov. That's Spud Stop. Reignite your love-hate relationship with potato salad. You won't regret it at first.
Dr. Hanzo, back to you. Let's move to the etiquette of rock, paper,
absolutely.
scissors. In formal rock, paper, scissors, the traditional, do you bow first or just lock eyes and wiggle your fingers menacingly?
Good question. I'll actually clue you both in on something that I'm working on that has yet to be announced to the academic community. You mentioned this idea of staring into your opponent's soul until they look away. In my research into the act through the last few centuries, I've discovered that key creatives, right, authors, poets, musicians, actors, were devotees of rock, paper, scissors. These are names that you'd recognize. Keats, Shelley, Lord Byron, Ulysses S. Grant, the gentleman who created peanut butter. 3 of the 5 original members of the band, The Animals. House of the Rising Sun was always thought to be about the house of ill repute in New Orleans. It was actually a veiled reference to the Han Dynasty we were talking about earlier. Here's where I'm going with this. So Morrissey, the former frontman for the Smiths, was an avid student of rock, paper, scissors. Much of what the band and Morrissey himself created out of the early 1980s British independent music push was actually a mirroring or a mimicking of the idea of what you talk about, staring into your opponent's soul until they look away. Once the band broke up in 1987, any last vestige of using the soul staring as the starting point for any round was abandoned out of courtesy to Johnny Marr. So it's basically either finger wagging or a simple counting.
Well,
And is
Dr.
it
Hanzo,
officially, I'm sorry, Miles, this is something that's always confounded me. Is it officially 1, 2, 3, and then you throw? Or is it 1, 2, 3, shoot, and then you throw?
I would ask both of you which you play, and then I'll tell you if you're correct or incorrect. How's that? So Miles,
Sure.
how do you go 1, 2, 3 play or 1, 2 play?
I usually say 1, 2, and then throw my symbol there out for the world to see because I want to give my opponent just a little bit of an edge.
Yeah.
That's how confident I am.
It's a good tactic. I don't take that route. I usually do 1, 2, 3. I take a nice long pause to see if they throw and then say shoot.
I literally think though I'm 0 for 1,000 though. So maybe a change
Your
of
technique
strategy.
is not good.
By the way, Dr. Hanzo, any reference, I think that was the first reference to Jim Morrissey. So come on, baby, light my fire. Thank you very much, sir. So moving
That's right,
along.
Jim Morrissey.
I did a little background research on this as well, Dr. Hanzo. And during the Cold War, there was the global annihilation threat, the atomic bomb or the nuclear bomb that essentially trumped all.
You mentioned, in governmental, in mediation circles, that has been the case. Last year's G7 summit actually came down to Macron's scissors beating Biden's paper. That's why the French wine tariffs really are what they are now. There was also the rumor that during the Cold War, when Reagan threw paper and Gorbachev threw rock, most of the people in the room for that have since passed. So we don't really know what the outcome of that sequence was. We have no real way of reconciling the truth. Kennedy Khrushchev actually settled the Cuban Missile Crisis in the kitchen of a Greenland hostel with best of 3. So there is precedent here for governmental intervention.
Well, and I also read an article that said that people who choose paper more often than scissor or rock have self-esteem issues. Are you able to expand on that? Is there truth to that?
Absolutely, absolutely. Some people are born with what we like to call rock hands. Others are cursed with more of a limp paper wrist. Interesting story about this. Many people have at least heard the name Rochambeau. They often confuse the name Rochambeau for the kind of quote unquote fancy name of the game. He was, he was a participant in the War for Independence. He was a French Royal Army officer who played a fairly critical role in our war for independence. Jean-Baptiste was many things, but a strong-wristed man he was not. And as a result, he did whatever he could to really avoid the sort of hand-to-hand battle consisting of outright struggles of strength. So it was during the trip from France to the colonies that Rochambeau often challenged officer and crew alike to a rousing sequence of rock, paper, scissors. Once the crew determined that, we do our best. It was either limes or games of rock, paper, scissors, and Jean-Baptiste opted for the game itself. So once the crew determined that Rochambeau always led with paper, due to the physical abnormality that he suffered from, Rochambeau figured out that others had learned his secret. And so he vowed never to do that again. So again, his name is not attributed to the creation of the game. He was gifted a couple of cannons from Congress. He gave them back. He did actually use rock, paper, scissors to escape the guillotine during France's reign of terror. He won a best of 13 game, or best of 13 in Shifumi, which is the French name of the sequence itself.
Has there ever been a conflict that was resolved because of rock, paper, scissors that went beyond best of
typical?
Three?
Yeah.
I don't believe so.
Okay. Is there a maximum amount of rounds you're allowed to play?
The most that I've ever personally witnessed was about 3 weeks. The players actually forgot what they were fighting over. Both it was a married couple. They divorced mid-match, and in the end that they tied in the sequence itself. Mathematicians following along with the podcast, if there are any, would ask, how can you tie in an odd numbered play sequence? There will be after today, I'm sure. Both participants ultimately quit on the last known even sequence because they couldn't stand to look at the other person any longer.
Wow.
So now let's take this conversation and talk about the dangerous game. And you were privy to this. I think you were one of the participants. You claim you once played against an orangutan. How did that happen?
I would like to take a moment to clear the air about this situation. So Jason Blum, the producer, contacted me as he was putting together a cast and crew for the remake he was considering for the Hollywood classic Every Which Way But Loose.
Oh, yes.
They had already cast the lead Philo Beto to a de-aged Macaulay Culkin. They had already located the orangutan who would play the role of Clyde. The simian's name was actually Jessica. And from what research I was able to do prior to the test, she had quite a theatrical and rock, paper, scissors repertoire. So Bloom's team flew me out for the test shoot on a Thursday. We were able to assemble a small group that following Friday for screen work. I had come ready to teach Jessica what I could. What I didn't know was that Jessica had been replaced at the last minute by a stand-in by the name of Allison. They actually had to crate ship her from Micronesia. Now, I don't know if there's any geographic or geography whiz listeners here on the podcast, but the distance between Micronesia and Santa Monica, where we were doing the test shooting, was not a small ferry ride. And by the time Allison was uncrated and prepped for makeup, she was not in a good place. So Allison came to set. We were all there waiting, and some, I don't like to use this word, but some mouth breather of a second AD was eating a banana very loudly. Allison was jet lagged, hungry, saw the second AD's banana, flings herself across the room, grabs the banana out of the second AD's hand, crushes 3 fingers, unfortunately, then proceeds to hurl herself towards my general direction. It was only really because animal control was there to subdue Allison, then ship her back to Micronesia on the next boat that I am even able to be here today. So yes, it is a dangerous game. We were not able to complete the sequence. I don't even know what's happened really to Jessica or Allison to this day. But I would like to say for the record, I did not play against Allison. I did not lose against Allison, but I still have problems looking at a banana here to this day.
So growing up, my mom never allowed me to play with sharp objects. So I was never able to throw scissors in a game, and my classmates figured that out quickly, and they destroyed me. Also, I had trouble understanding the proper way to show a rock. I didn't know if the thumb went under the fingers. If
I would not show that.
No,
the hidden thumb I would not show in public circles.
Okay.
You might have a lot of wanted or unwanted attention there at that point.
Yeah.
I would say thumb on the outside, 4 fingers down, and butt of the hand down. So
this way. So sort of.
Palm, so turn it 90 degrees.
90 like this.
Just like that.
Oh, correct. Like I'm fist bumping someone, but you're not allowed to touch in the actual game.
Not in many games. No.
Yeah. Dr. Hanzo, I
I'll practice.
told Mark that in some cultures that is a major faux pas to cuff the thumb. The man is thick-headed.
Yeah, I am.
So
I don't even know what that means.
Dr. Hanzo, I want to get a little personal here.
Okay.
You've written about losing a pet turtle in a playground round of rock, paper, scissors. Do you still hold a grudge? And if you're comfortable, maybe sharing a little back details on that?
You told me that they would not be talking about this. The only reason that I even agreed to do this was because the attorneys pulled this out of the contract. Yes, I don't even know what your name is. You better hope that you're never going to apply for work in serious academic circles anytime in the next century.
Well, I'm terribly sorry about that, Dr. Hanzo.
We're going to have to edit that.
Sorry. I don't like to talk about Gary. If we could move on to the next question, please.
It's
whoa. I'll change the subject. I'll lighten the mood a little bit here. With the increased popularity of rock, paper, scissors, emergency departments have seen a rise in thumb sprains. Are there any warm-up activities that should be done before you begin playing?
I would say deep knee bends, perhaps just large, like wide arm circles. Once we get out to the digits, you're either controlled in that capacity or you're not. So I typically, encourage people to just have blood flowing throughout the entire system rather than focus on something that you're not going to knit a parachute after you fall out of an airplane. You're not going to get strong thumbs 3 seconds before a match.
Okay, valid.
I guess
I have to tell you, I'm still a little
ice and heat.
I'm still a little shaken about what just happened.
I am very sorry. So there are two less people with jobs here today. So I'm terribly sorry.
Yeah.
Right. So final question, Dr. Hanzo. Professor, is it true that scissors were invented only because people were tired of always playing rock?
For once, you are absolutely correct. Yes, paper was created by the stationery lobby. Big Paper really has been running things ever since. So I must say that, I wish the both of you much health, happiness, safety, and security, but I would worry about even saying, anything about Big Paper. So I will say that if you read stories about, my untimely passing here in the near future, you'll know what happened. So let's just all be safe.
Okay. Well, Dr. Hanzo, it has been an absolute pleasure to have you today. And so before you go, we are going to fire off a couple of unrelated questions, starting with Mark Manning. Mark?
Oh, I'm supposed to come up with an unrelated question to rock, paper, scissors?
Just to ask Dr. Hanzo.
Okay. Dr. Hanzo, almond or oat milk? Is there a difference?
Neither.
And how do they milk the oats? I've never understood that.
I'm not really sure. I know that it's consumed in some circles. I don't understand that. It's either from an udder or it's not from an udder. So I would say neither.
Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Hanzo. Thank you, Mark. And
That was it.
Hanzo, yes. Dr. Hanzo, it has been an absolute pleasure having you on our show today. At Pull My Leg, we are trying to get down to the bottom of life's most interesting and sometimes least interesting subjects. And you have been a fascinating guest. Thank you so much for sharing all the history about rock, paper, scissors. I think we can safely say that rock, paper, scissors has been used throughout history to solve some of our biggest diplomatic challenges.
And as a token of
thank you for having me.
And as a token of thank, Hanzy, the good people at Spud Stop want to send you a $29 gift card for to use on your next road trip.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Sure. It is now time for Ask Us Anything. That's when we reach into the viewer mailbag, whether it's emails or posts on Instagram or YouTube comments, because we're all over the net. By the way, please visit us on Instagram at Pull My Leg Podcast. And then on YouTube, it's that same username. But if you're at YouTube watching us right now, you probably already know that. So this question comes from John Smith. It sounds like a made-up name, but it is not. He is from San Antonio, New Mexico, not to be confused with San Antonio, Florida. And here's his question. My shampoo dries out my scalp. I'm looking for something more natural and moisturizing. Miles, is there any product you can recommend that comes from the produce aisle that I can use to bring back the shine and volume from my youth? That comes from John.
Question.
Yeah.
Great question. As a man who really cares a lot about his own hair, I find that beet juice, olive oil, a little salt and pepper, minced chives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's all mixed together like in a blender situation, and then you massage it in?
It certainly can be, yeah. And then whatever's left, great salad dressing.
2 uses. I like that.
So
reusable.
Right. So Mark, all the way from Albuquerque, New Mexico, very close to where your
San Antonio
question came from. Yes, absolutely. This question is to you, Mr. Manning. And it is on a deserted desert island where you're eating dessert. What would that dessert be?
On a desert island? Oh, it's a deserted island. Who's this come from, by the way? I think that I'd love to know the person's name who wrote in this letter. Was it anonymous?
No, it wasn't. It was from Francis Iacocca.
Francis Iacocca. Well, Francis, if I were on a deserted island, my worry would be getting overweight from too much heavy food. So it would probably just be popsicles. I like plain popsicles, actually ones that are transparent where you can actually see the stick. And I don't like spicy food. So it would probably be maybe a broth, chicken broth flavored popsicle. That's what I would go for.
Now is the time where we actually get to share the real story behind the subject matter we were talking about.
That's right.
So
the truth.
And when did rock, paper, scissors come from? Well, it originated in China. So Dr. Hanzo was close. By the way, that was not his name. We want to thank Andy, our friend, for pretending to be Dr.
He was brilliant.
Hanzo. He was brilliant.
So good.
Just a bevy of blather. But this happened in China during the Han Dynasty in 206 BCE to 220 CE, and it was called Shu Shiling, or sometimes called Haquan, which literally means hand command, Mark. And why? What was the purpose behind it? Well, it wasn't invented as a children's game at first. It was a decision-making tool and a form of simple gambling. Players used hand gestures as a way to settle disputes or outcomes without physical fighting.
Wow. So it really was kind of an act of diplomacy, even though we were just kidding around with that title.
Absolutely.
Very nice.
And the spread of this act of diplomacy went from China to Japan, where it evolved into John Ken and became widely known in the U.S. by the early 20th century.
I'm surprised it took that long, but how great that some person long ago created something that has captured the world. for
Absolutely.
centuries.
Just became a part of our pop culture.
Yeah,
and,
that's cool.
As a go-to method for settling, fair, simple acts of
That's right.
disagreements.
Well, let's take a moment to thank again Lulu's Coffee and Bakehouse in Indianapolis on the north side off 86th Street. So if you're ever in town for a visit, please stop in. They would love to see you. I also want to thank Andy, who played Hanzy today on the podcast.
God, he was terrific.
It was so much fun. And I guess, should we tease what's happening next week on Pull My Leg?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Let's hear it, Mark.
Well, what I like about our podcast, Miles, is that we're not trying to be controversial or push the envelope, right? There's never going to be a subject that's going to be offensive to people, but there is something that everyone is thinking about, but no one is talking about. So on the next Pull My Leg, we are going to dig into the conspiracy that's troubling our nation, the truth behind Yogi Bear's relationship with Boo Boo, and what's actually hiding in that picnic basket. That's going to happen next time on Pull My Leg.
Fascinating. And folks, thank you for joining us today. And remember that it isn't always unimportant information that you can learn from. Have a great day, everyone.
Thanks for that, Miles.